The laugh came quickly, sharp and careless, cutting through the soft music of the restaurant like a crack in glass. It wasn't loud, but it was cruel enough to be felt. The kind of laugh that made heads turn, then turn away again. It landed on Emily Carter like a slap, right there at the small candlelit table, and in that moment she understood something deeply painful. That before she had even spoken a full sentence, she had already been judged, dismissed, and reduced to the fabric of the secondhand dress she wore. Before we go any further, take a moment right now. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in judging people by their hearts rather than their appearance, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Emily sat still, her hands folded neatly in her lap, fingers pressing into each other to keep them from shaking. The dress she wore was pale blue, modest, and carefully ironed. It had once belonged to someone else, purchased years ago from a thrift store during a season of her life when every dollar mattered. She had chosen it deliberately for the blind date, not because it was impressive, but because it felt honest. Across from her sat Jason Miller, tall, confident, and perfectly styled in a tailored jacket that probably cost more than Emily's monthly grocery budget. His smile, once charming during their brief online messages, had shifted into something smug the moment his eyes scanned her outfit. Jason had come into the date expecting a certain image. He worked in real estate, drove a leased luxury car, and measured people by polish and price tags. When Emily had walked in, quietly and without spectacle, he had felt disappointment almost instantly. He masked it with shallow charm at first, but the laugh slipped out when she mentioned she liked simple things, quiet mornings, and community work. In his mind, the dress confirmed everything he assumed: struggling, ordinary, temporary. What Jason didn't know was that Emily Carter had built her life by surviving storms most people never saw. She had grown up in Ohio, the daughter of a widowed schoolteacher who taught her that dignity had nothing to do with money. Emily worked her way through college, took risks, failed twice, and stood back up every time. She learned early that success didn't need to announce itself. Sometimes it whispered, waiting for the right moment to speak. As the date went on, Jason talked more than he listened. He spoke of deals closed, parties attended, and people he knew. Emily nodded politely, offering small smiles, choosing grace over confrontation. She had noticed his reaction to her dress, of course. She had noticed the way his eyes lingered with quiet judgment. It stung, but it didn't break her. Years ago, it might have. Tonight, it only reminded her why she valued humility so fiercely. The restaurant itself was elegant but understated, the kind of place where wealth didn't need to show off. Soft lighting reflected off polished wood, and the staff moved with practiced calm. Emily had chosen the restaurant, suggesting it casually, knowing Jason would assume it was far beyond her means. She let him think that, not because she wanted revenge, but because she believed truth revealed itself in time. Jason ordered confidently, barely glancing at prices. Emily ordered simply. The imbalance fed his quiet sense of superiority. He leaned back, relaxed, convinced he understood the entire story of the woman sitting across from him. To him, she was just another reminder that blind dates were risky, that appearances mattered, that standards should never slip. What he failed to notice was the way the staff moved differently around Emily. Not obvious, just subtle. A nod of respect, a quiet attentiveness. The head waiter slowed his steps as he approached the table, his expression warm and professional, eyes briefly meeting Emily's with recognition. Emily felt the shift before Jason did, a gentle pause in the air, like the moment before a wave breaks. The waiter addressed her first, his tone carrying genuine respect, welcoming her back and asking if everything was to her satisfaction. He referred to her with a title that didn't match Jason's assumptions, one that carried authority and familiarity. Madam CEO. The words hung there, heavy and undeniable. Jason's confident posture stiffened. His smile froze, then faltered. Confusion flickered across his face, followed by disbelief. He glanced from the waiter to Emily, searching for some sign of misunderstanding, some explanation that would preserve the narrative he had already written in his head. Emily remained calm. She thanked the waiter politely, asking him to pass her regards to the kitchen and confirming a detail about the wine selection. Her voice was steady, her manner unchanged. There was no triumph in her eyes, no desire to humiliate, only quiet certainty. The waiter moved on, leaving silence behind. In that silence, Jason's world tilted. The secondhand dress no longer looked small, it looked intentional. The simplicity no longer suggested lack, but choice. His laugh echoed back in his own mind, now hollow and embarrassing. Emily was the founder and CEO of a mid-sized logistics company headquartered in Chicago, a company she had built from a single rented office and a second-hand desk. She employed hundreds of people across the Midwest, invested in community programs, and quietly donated to scholarships for students who reminded her of herself. She didn't dress to impress. She dressed to move freely through the world, unburdened by the need to prove anything. Jason, meanwhile, felt something unfamiliar creep into his chest: regret. He realized how easily he had dismissed her, how shallow his judgment had been. His success suddenly felt thin, propped up by appearances rather than substance. He tried to recalibrate, to recover the charm he believed himself capable of, but the imbalance had shifted. Emily saw the change and understood it immediately. She had seen it before in boardrooms, at charity events, in rooms where power dynamics shifted without warning. She didn't enjoy it. She didn't resent him either. She simply noted it. The rest of the dinner passed politely. Jason asked different questions now, more careful, more curious. Emily answered honestly, but without opening doors she no longer wished to walk through. The date had revealed more than compatibility. It had revealed character. As dessert arrived, Emily reflected on the long road that had led her here, the nights she cried alone, wondering if the sacrifices were worth it, the times she had been underestimated, overlooked, or quietly mocked. Each moment had shaped her into someone who valued empathy over ego. Tonight wasn't about proving anything. It was about confirming who she had become. Jason, for his part, sat with the weight of realization. He understood that he had failed a test he didn't know he was taking. Not a test of wealth or ambition, but of kindness. He had laughed at a dress without considering the woman wearing it. Emily paid the bill, as she always did when she chose a place. She stood, thanked Jason for the evening, and wished him well. There was no lecture, no dramatic confrontation, just dignity. Outside, the city lights glowed softly against the night sky. Emily breathed deeply, feeling gratitude rather than bitterness. She knew her worth. She always had. But moments like this reminded her why humility mattered. Why she chose simplicity in a world obsessed with excess. If this story is touching something inside you right now, if it's reminding you of moments when you were judged or when you judged too quickly, please pause for a second and like this video. Share it with someone who believes that true value is found beneath the surface. Subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can find their way to you. As Emily walked to her car, she thought about the next board meeting, the next challenge, the next opportunity to lead with compassion. She hoped Jason would learn something from the evening, not because she needed validation, but because the world needed more kindness and less assumption. And now, before we end, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with one word that this story made you feel: hope, humility, strength, or reflection. Your words matter more than you know. Emily drove off into the quiet streets, her secondhand dress folded neatly as she sat behind the wheel of a life she had built with patience and integrity. Somewhere behind her, a man sat with the uncomfortable gift of self-awareness. And somewhere ahead, countless others would meet Emily without ever knowing her title, only her grace. Because in the end, the most powerful people rarely announce themselves. They simply live in truth and let the world catch up when it's ready.